comic book friends and fiends. This Rob here in front of the Great Wall of Comics. Give it up for Twerking Tyler. And now it's time for OnlySlabs, which means I have to bring in at least one other person because we can't have an episode of OnlySlabs without a co-host. I think that's written in the law. I don't know. Chris, would you check me on that? Isn't it law? I can't do this without a co-host.
Hold on. Yes, and
okay,
I put it in there.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Well, so this is how I cement myself.
Right,
in the show.
Good. You know what else is the law is we have to have a guest.
If it's not me, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest from the United Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen, Luke of Hydra Collectibles. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me on. Really been looking forward to this.
Oh, I am too, especially after your bold statement last week when you declared that you have no more to collect.
I know, shocking, isn't it? Like
that's a rather bold statement.
I want to say that's a controversial move, or there could be some controversy behind your statement. So we'll find out.
I mean, it all comes down really to I'm trying to not be a completionist. So as long as something is represented, then I'm happy. So when I say there's no more to collect, obviously there's always stuff that I would like to have. But as long as those particular franchises that I'm a fan of has representation, I'm happy.
Still, bold statement.
Rob has tunnel vision right now, everybody.
Because all of a sudden I remembered something else that I was going to do. I was going to say that, you know what, this morning I want to do something slightly different. Just steal from you, Chris. Just right, because people like to filter in a little bit later. Usually,
let's go.
They wait for our intro. So we're going to do a special extra giveaway today. So everybody, go ahead and start hitting those hashtag early bird real quick, and we're going to go ahead and get you. We'll do a drawing, and then we'll get going because we got lots of stuff to do today. But fortunately, we don't have a hard stop because the show that Luke and I normally do after this is not happening today. So that's good.
Oh.
Well, that's going on, though. Why don't we go ahead and just do romper?
Romper bumper, stomper boo, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today, did all of my friends have fun at play?
Well, I certainly hope that they did, starting off with our friend, Liz Crucius. Hello, from New Mexico. Marty saying hello, welcome. He's flouting that 7-month member badge. Thank you very much, sir. Luke checking in, letting everybody know that he's going to be here, so that's good. Jean Malo, happy to have you here with us. Hulk Collector 82 joining us, making a good morning with Sector 2815. Hello, folks. Absolutely. Dead Man's in the house. Always good to have Dead Man around. Let's see who else is here. Mad Spidey up super early. Dude, Mad Spidey, I got a package from you this morning, and I don't know what you sent me, you son of a bitch. So I guess that's coming up later on. Let's see. Dr. Von Hoot from the Comics from the Spiral Dimension is here. Going to have a slabber knocker day. Absolutely. Mrs. Von Hoot's here to check out Luke. Let's see. Warlord is here. Hello, sir. Let's see who else here. Kenneth Bird's here, everybody. Excellent. From Virginia. Phenomenal. Bleecker Street's here. Excellent. Thank you for coming and joining us there, Bleecker. Let's see. Mr. Comics 89 is here. He's up for some cheering up. Well, he's a big SpiderMan fan, and there might be a couple in Luke's collection. He's been known to have a couple. Charmaine's here. Hello, Charmaine. Happy to have you with us today. Cat Fan Comics Man, happy birthday to you, sir.
Happy birthday.
Hell Green Machine, hello.
Larry.
Wayne Deacon here. Hello, everybody. Let's see who else is here. I may have missed early bird. Now I'm getting to the early bird hashtags, which is good, where I'll really get to see if some people are here. I see that. I'll get to that in a second. Well, let's see. Thank you very much by that, Marty. We're gonna get. Well, you know what? The hell with it. We just do it now. What the hell? Thank you so much, Marty, for the super chat. We do appreciate that, and going to kick cancer in the nuts. Let's see. And Bird Steven C's here, everybody. Happy birthday. Well, not happy. Why am I saying happy birthday to you, Steve? No, yeah, maybe it's your birthday. I don't know. I saw Comics Man's name down again. All of a sudden I was thinking in my head. Justin Birch is here. The real James Willie is here. Not that fake James Willie. Let's see. Anybody else I'm missing? As long as everyone's throwing up these things there, it's nice to see. Passport Comics is in the house. And Collecting with Durs, hello. And I think we got everybody. All right. That means we're going to hit this. Oh, is there more?
No.
Oh. Spin it is what you're saying. Got it.
Yes.
I was already doing that.
Oh,
Collecting with Durs. Congratulations on our third winner. Collecting with Durs. We'll do this the way we normally do. Luke, you as the guest, why don't you get a chance? You'll get to do this. We're going to pick 6 books for Durs. Go ahead and give us a number from the front, a number from the back, between 1 and 10, or tell me that you want to go back and forth, from back to front, and we'll just roll it right until you tell me when to stop.
Let's go for number 4 from the front.
4 from the front. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Okay, next.
We'll go 9 from the back.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from the back. Okay.
And then just somewhere in the middle.
So we'll just let it ride. You tell me when to stop.
About there.
Okay, front, back, or both?
Both.
Excellent choice. All right, and we got one more run here. Let's just run it down here. Tell me when to stop.
And stop.
Okay, and both again?
Both again.
Excellent. All right.
Matt 268, thanks for joining us.
Durs, first out of the bat, we got Solar, Man of the Atom.
All right.
So it's got some Pokemon cards on the back for you. Oops. Courtesy of Shatterglass Comic Reviews. Got a 1 in 10 incentive variant of Locket, signed by, hold on, I'll get to it. J Photos.
Lock and Key.
Lock and Key. What did I say? Locket.
That's okay.
Sorry. Warlock and the Infinity Watch, first issue.
Very nice. Yeah. That book's,
oh my God.
That book's over 30 years old now.
Walking Dead, signed by Charlie Adlard.
Very nice.
Oh, not the signed books here, buddy.
Wow.
How about The Amazing Spider-Man 147, featuring Tarantula?
What is that doing in the box? Do you have like quadruples of that? Like, you don't put Tarantula in there. It's like awesome.
A Shannon Mayer variant of Fallen Angels number 1, featuring X-23.
Nice.
Some phenomenal books there. Congratulations there, Durs. We're going to stop sharing that screen and want to again, thank you for that super chat. Want to remind everybody, as I go to the brand here, yes, Comics Curing Cancer is coming up. Our big event, October 20th through the 22nd. Make sure that you're keeping your hand close to what's going on with that here. What's going, follow me to know what's going on. We'll be doing multiple events on multiple channels, including the final auction on the Sunday here on this channel. Of course, this channel, everything that comes in, whether it's the channel memberships, the ad revenue, the super chats, whatever, it all goes towards Comics Curing Cancer with the American Cancer Society. Become a channel member, just hit that join button. It's $2.99 a month. And that, like I said, goes to benefit Comics Curing Cancer. Shout out to all our channel members, the Comic Vet, Jack B Comics, Travis Vick, Six Face Comics, Actual Dracula, Stephen C, Chris at Retro Rocket Comics, PSN Green Hulkster, Digger Jim 720, Legion of Comics, Blue Hellion Comics, Flo Dameron, Comic Ozzy, Dr. Von Hoots, Comics from the Spiral Dimension, Beckerman, DJ Links, Comics by the Bay, Sector 2815, The Real James Willie, The Comic Viking, Gary B, The Casual Comic Guy, Dale of Suspense Comics, Tate Prime, Circumstances, Chaos and Comics, Comic Journey, Marty Aleko, Justin Birch Letters, Shatterglass Comic Reviews, Trev the Shipping Guru, Collecting with Durs, Remy Q Studios, Matt 268, Comics with Murdoch, Ben Parker Comics, Austin LeMay, Comic Man Andy, Mad Spidey, Cup of Comics, Burke Fam 54 Comics, Switch Comics, Cole's Comics Claims, Seth 11, Hulk Collector 82, Brian LCS, El Green Machine, Izzyverse NYC Comics, A Comic Bookworm, Cali Comics, Chuck Hensey, Jean Malo, Lone Eagle, Comicverse, Triple G Comics, Cat Fan Comics Man, Noggin Comics, The Immortal, Biggie Shack, Aggressively Relaxing. Wow, I'm realizing that I got these things. Some of the colors are altering. I was scrambling at the last minute to get this updated. KBDM, Taylor Winder, Collectible Inc., Wayne Deacon, DAGR Cards, and Deadman. This is updated as of just a few moments ago. Whew, right before the show, and that was important because it's also the first Saturday of the month, and the first Saturday of the month means it's time for our henchman of the month. So,
I legit don't know how you could continue reading that with those two names the same color. With
the color,
OCD.
yeah, it bugged the crap out of me too.
Yeah, here we are.
It
Who
was
is
on
it?
2 different pages.
Ben Parker.
Ben Parker Comics. Congratulations, sir. Ben Parker Comics, our henchman of the month. Reach out to me with your shirt size, and a henchman shirt will be coming to you. Hopefully it's extra large because I have an extra large already. But
Rob, you've given away more. Like, we're 12 minutes in. Our guest has barely spoken anything in his beautiful accent, and you're giving away more stuff than I can remember. Everyone, today is the last day for nominations for the CBC Awards. Remember, OnlySlabs, please.
yes, absolutely. Get in. That was on my list of things to talk about. Thank you, Chris. All right, so let's because you did bring up a fantastic point, and we are at that point of the show where we should probably actually do some of the show instead of
Welcome to OnlySlabs, where
yeah. It's not quite as bad. It's not quite as bad as New Comic Book Day, but we do get one hell of a lead in.
I see what you did there.
Touche, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Luke from Hydra Collectibles. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing really, really good. I'm really glad to be here. I've watched your show many times. Really like all the books that people always show off. Hopefully I don't disappoint with mine. I'm not going to be way up there, but I'm definitely not down at the bottom. There's some good ones here.
It's
as we always tell everybody.
Yeah,
it's and especially all our future guests. It's not about having the biggest grails or any of that other stuff. It's about books that are special to you and us getting to know you through your collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, ironically, most of my books aren't slabbed, so this was actually really quite difficult. I only have a selected few books slabbed in order to have them on display. So I have a spinner rack that I put them into, or I have them mounted on the wall. Other than that, the rest are all raw.
I get you all. I get you picked it. You're all dressed up.
Fuzzy Dunlop's in the chat. Hello, everyone. If you haven't seen the greatest show in the history of television, The Wire, you will not understand Fuzzy Dunlop's handle. And that's a sad thing because you should have seen The Wire. Okay, let's go.
All right, there we go. Luke, why don't you go ahead and give people a taste? We've already talked about the fact that you made your bold statement that you've collected everything you need to collect, and that there's nothing else for you. So, what is it that you collect? And then let's get into some slabs.
Yeah, so I pretty much collect everything. Whether it be comics, toys, like film sales. I have a real addiction / problem when it comes to collecting. Now that I've got to the end of some of these collections, like I'm stating, I know that I'm going to need something else to fill that gap. I know that it's collecting's in my nature, so I don't know where it's going to go. But in the meantime, we're here to talk about comics. So with that, I'm going to start off with 2 honorable mentions before we get into all the good stuff, or at least the better stuff. I picked these up very early in my comic collecting hobby, as it were. Didn't really know much about the whole grading process with CGC and everything else. So, sending books off, not knowing what I was going to get back. But these were 2 books from my collection that I thought I would do the little test run with. So even though they're not the best books, they were my initial test run books.
So they're your first slabs that you slabbed yourself, at least.
Along with a few others. So I sent off about 10 books, and this
so the answer is yes. Excellent.
The answer is yes. But they were my first books to come back purple label, and they're still here now. But they're here because regardless of that, I still love them. They are some of the older books that I have within my collection. So this one here is Weird Fantasy 16. So nice bit of EC Comics action. And as you can see, it's a 0.5. And that is because of restoration that includes small amount of color touch on the cover, small amount of glue. Page 16 is missing, but it does
That's
not
why it's
affect
0.5. Yeah.
it does not affect story. And there is tape on the interior of the cover. But other
No.
than
Yeah.
that, I love EC Comics. I love these old 1950s books. So regardless of that, this will still forever stay in my collection, and it still goes up on display regardless of that purple label. I don't care.
You know, purple label on Golden Age and Atomic Age books like this isn't the end of the world. There's people who, when they collect cars, that want the car just like it is as a barn find, and there's other people that want to restore it. And there's perfectly both answers are correct. And it's just understand that, yeah, you know what? In the same condition, the original is going to be worth more.
Yeah.
Duh, because it's the original. But it doesn't mean that the other isn't a valid collectible.
Well, and the other thing is as well is these were inherited books for me, so I didn't lose any money on them. You know, I gained a load of EC Comics from one
Lucky
person.
man.
And like I say, these were the only ones that I sent off. I've yet to actually go through and check all the others, you know, with a fine-tooth comb. Like, they're here, I
Right.
love them, I read them, but I'm not brave enough to send them off to CGC now that I know this is what's happening with them. So with that, this is the second honorable mention. Haunt of Fear, issue number 11, I believe. So again, similar thing. Restoration includes small amount of color touch. Centerfold is missing. Does not affect story.
That's what's killing them is these missing pages, missing centerfolds.
Luke, before you put that down, who are the floating heads in the bubbles there?
So we have the Old Witch, the Vault Keeper, and the Crypt Keeper. So these stories were basically told by those characters. I absolutely love them. People will know the Crypt Keeper from the original HBO series, where he was like the corpse. But this is what the guy originally looked like. It's just a white-haired old man. And obviously they've done some live-action movies as well back in the day. I think it was in the 70s. And again, he was just like dressed in a monk's robe, so he wasn't anything sinister or ghoulish. But yeah, again, two honorable mentions that I just thought were worth bringing up.
Oh,
and I kind of like it sounds really weird, but I like when my books have been well loved. And if you cut out a stamp or you cut out a voucher, I like that the kid did that, but then still kept the book. You know, I like that added bit of history to my comics. I know it sounds weird and it's not the norm for everyone.
I guess some Spider-Mans with some colored in eyeballs if you want. I mean,
this is the thing. I love that stuff. And do you know what else? Here in the UK, we get a lot of stamps, especially on those older books for the prices. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with date stamps. I'm okay with that. And I'm also okay when there's writing inside the cover. Like, I like when a kid has written, "This book belongs to Johnny." You know?
Sure. But you know, this kid Eugene, that took my 1937 book that wanted to make sure that everyone knew that it was his book and stamped his name 14 times on the cover. He can go to hell.
That's a bit excessive. That is a bit excessive. But I like the history of these kids sharing it around. You know, they couldn't afford to spend all their money on every book that came out. So I like the idea, whether it happened or not, that they kind of planned this out. And they were like, well, you pick up this one, I'll pick up this one. When I'm done, we'll trade. But we'll each know whose book is whose because we'll write our name in it. And now I have them.
You're right there, Hulk Collector 82. There's been some great EC paperback collected volumes that have been coming out. I've been picking them up lately. Great fun reads.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
All right. Honorable mentions are behind us. Now we're getting to the actual real 20.
Now we're getting to the real 20. So I wanted to start off with a book that's very precious to me, but not as precious as it should be. My favorite character within the Marvel universe and comics in general, actually, is the Lizard from SpiderMan.
Nice.
I love the whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of idea behind it. And I know a lot of people might say, well, that's Hulk or that's Green Goblin, etc., etc. But the Lizard with Dr. Connors is, for me, a really beautiful story. It's beautifully tragic. You know, he's a good man that had something terrible before him. And all he wanted to do was regrow that arm so that he could hold and hug his family. And it just all went to hell the minute that he did that. And to me, that is just such a powerful story. He's not like other villains, you know, and even Spider-Man never wants to hurt him, never wants to do anything to harm his friend. So anyway, Stan Lee was coming to town back in 2012, and I wanted to get him to sign a Lizard book, you know, and as a child, I had the first appearance of the Lizard. First comic book I ever purchased, bought it at a car boot sale or a jumble sale or flea market, whatever you guys might call it over there, yard sale. I paid 50 pence for it, so like nothing, right? And I loved that book with all my heart, read it over and over again. And when Stan Lee was coming, do you think I could find it? Couldn't find it. Wasn't anywhere. I searched all my loft, my parents' loft, I could not find this book for love nor money. So I went online and I picked up a reprint of said book, and so I got Stan Lee to sign it for me.
Nice.
So, again, it's kind of bittersweet because it's not my original copy. You know, it's not even an original copy, but you know, for me, it was still important that Stan Lee signed this particular book. This is my favorite character, my favorite story. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm really pleased to have this in my collection.
And it's great signature placement too.
Yeah, he didn't draw
for Stan. That's a great placement. Yep.
Yeah, but so this is one of the newspaper reprints.
It is, yeah. So this came out in 2006, so 6 years prior to me meeting Stan.
So there were a series of these that the early issues that were redone and it came out with newspapers, and so some of them are actually have some value to them.
So I actually purchased the whole set in order to get this one book that I took signed by Stan. So I've got the whole collection of these.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, I didn't know about them initially. I remember I was in a antique store flipping through comics, and I found an Amazing Fantasy 15 one of those in there, and I was like, and they were asking like $2 for it, and I was like, oh, stupid people, this is not the original. I mean, this is garbage. And I didn't pick it up, and then later on I realized what they were, and that, you know, it actually had some value to it. Oh, why did I, stupid idiot? But you know what?
Well, and also,
all I would have done was sit on it anyways. It wouldn't, like, I wasn't going to sell it. So
I was really impressed that I even got the 8.0 for it. Yeah. Given the thinness of the paper quality that this is printed on, and given that it went to Stan Lee to get signed, and you know, everything else went off to be slabbed, I'm really surprised that it came back with that grade.
And all the black border grade too.
Yeah, great. That's a great grade.
Yeah, awesome.
So my next two books, I just wanted to get out of the way because I think they get shown an awful lot on your show. And what is this, like issue 100 and something? You know, we got to get these ones out of the way. They're a must-see, they're a must-have for any collection, but let's just get right to it. So we have first appearance of Punisher.
Oh my.
And 3.0. I paid £300 for this.
Nice.
You know, before all the mad hype of everything.
Luke, hold on. Who you said the first appearance of who?
Jackal. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to make a mistake on our show.
That's the reason why I bought it. I love the Clone Saga. Like this is the only reason I bought this. Is for
easy. Tread lightly, okay.
But so obviously this was already slabbed when I purchased it, so I straight away looked up the grader's notes. Loads of rippling, loads of like water damage rippling apparently. So you could press it out, you could get a higher grade. But the reason why I don't send it off again, the reason why I'm too scared, is that the other thing is that there's a score mark from like a Stanley knife or where they've opened boxes or something. And I'm too scared. You can't see it. It's like really like hairline. You have to really be looking for it.
Is it that, or is it a subscription crease?
It's not a subscription crease because it's not on the back.
It's a score. Okay, so it's a score. Got it. Okay.
And I'm so terrified of taking that risk.
The cover comes apart. Yeah, no, that's fair. And that's a book that, from a value standpoint, that the reality situation, a 3.0 that presents well, is still several $100 and easier to move if you need to than, say, a high grade version where you're trying to find who has a couple $1,000s extra laying around versus somebody who just wants a copy and is willing to spend a couple hundred.
And also,
Or-
I can't knock the price. You know, I paid £300 for it,
Right.
and there it is. So again, not to brag, but anyone who doesn't follow me on my own channel, I actually own a near complete Spider-Man run. So for me, these are all keepers. You know, any Spider-Man book that's here, these are mine for my collection. So they're not going anywhere anyway. But that brings us on to the next book, which again,
And I'm so sorry. Before I go, I said a couple hundred. I want to clarify for everybody. A 3.0 today, recent sale July 28th. So within the past week, $861. So
yeah.
So how's the British pound? I know when it comes
it's
to
up
Canadian dollar,
compared to the US dollar. So it's way up compared to you. It's
right?
about
It's
a
usually
dollar.
double.
It's about $1.40 roughly to the pound, I believe it
Okay.
is.
All right. So yeah,
US
Luke, hell of a deal, my man.
to GBP. Oh no, so it's US dollars a bit higher now. When did that
Yeah.
0.78 pounds sterling equals a dollar?
Brexit.
Okay,
Brexit.
sorry, I go
Okay.
wrong math. Other direction. So that means at 800, it's about just over 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
result.
Let's hope
Never
they
gonna
don't
get
call
rid
the
of it,
police
though.
on you, my man. That's quite the robbery.
So that brings us to the next book, which again gets shown an awful lot on your channel. First Prince of Kingpin.
Oh.
So
I
again,
did my math wrong. It was 640 pounds. I did my math the wrong direction. Sorry.
So again, another favorite of mine, a great book to have mounted up on the wall. And yeah, it's a pence copy. For those of you who don't know, I am a big advocate for making sense of pence. You know, I make a lot of YouTube content about these pence books. It's something that we in the UK have that no one else can stake claim to. We've got the best of both worlds. We can buy these books in so many different formats, so many different ways. So yeah, big fan of this book.
Yeah, everybody seems to be a big fan of the Kingpin book.
So Luke, when you go to buy a graded book like that, and it is the UK price variant, do you still have to pay normal, like what a normal price for that book? When you look at the normal American style, the 12-cent, or I guess that book would have been 12 cents.
Yeah.
Do you still have to pay? Do you have to still have to pay the equivalent, say, version, or do you have to pay a little bit more of a premium, considering those are generally shorter printed?
Yeah, not a premium. It's all we've got it all backwards here, and that's part of what my channel is trying to show people, that these are actually rarer. You know, they were off the press first, etc., etc. We're not doing it for monetary value. We're just trying to state a point. You know, it's a bit like when people are comparing a cameo appearance to a first appearance, and we can get into that argument later. But you know, it's one of those things where prior to the mad comic boom that we had a couple of years ago, you would pay a lot less for a pence copy versus a cent copy. And so people like me were able to snap up all these bargains. You know, you get them for a lot cheaper than their counterparts. Now, since then, and pretty much because they're harder to get hold of here, you know, there's no shortage of these books, but it's more of a case of people don't want to let them go, especially when it comes to Spider-Man. There's not many people selling their Spider-Man collections. So yeah, the prices are now very similar. You don't get people going, oh, but it's a pence one, I'll give you this much less for it. It's pretty much even, I would say. Other people in the chat might prove me wrong, but that's what I found when I was collecting.
Well, I would imagine that for being in country, there's more of them per number of books out there versus here in the States or in Canada. When we go looking, we come across a pence variant, it's a extreme rarity because they have to come over here, and they don't travel. Books don't not as many books travel from the UK to the US as do the other direction.
Yeah. And the other thing as well for me is these are the books that I remember reading. So for me, it's the nostalgia. I remember them being pence copies when I was reading them. So therefore, that's what I know and I love. Whereas for a lot of other people, they remember the cents, or at least they want the cents to be the one in their collection because it's most original form.
I don't care.
For me, it's all about the better book. I don't care.
The only book I care. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't care if it's pence or cents. I don't care if it's newsstand or direct. I just care about the condition of the book. So whichever
Right.
one is better that I can get for the price that I'm willing to pay, then I buy it.
That's
Also,
I generally agree. The only book I really cared one way or the other was when I picked up my first appearance at Union Jack, finding a Pence copy. That was bonus.
It's got to be, hasn't it? For Captain
Right.
Britain or Union Jack, it has to be
Right.
a pence copy.
Exactly.
So
All right.
my next book is a low grade, but I paid like nothing for it, so I'm happy with that. And it is a slab. It was already slabbed when I purchased it. But it's a very underappreciated book, not undervalued, but underappreciated, and that is She-Hulk #1. Because there's not many issue #1s introducing a new character written by Stan Lee. Right, you can make your claim to your X-Men, your SpiderMan, and all the other characters, but pretty much after Daredevil, this is like the only other one that ticks all those boxes.
Ravage 2099.
But for me, it's undervalued, right? So again, I looked up on the census to try and work out why this was a 4.0 because it looks really clean. Otherwise, there's no notes. There's nothing to indicate what is wrong with this. So I don't know if it's got something spilt inside the cover, if it's dog-eared. I don't know if there's I have no idea what's wrong with this book. But not wanting to crack it open because I paid nothing for it, I'm happy just to have this up on display. It looks nice.
okay.
Yeah, no, that was a book that it got a little bit of a bump leading
on,
into
Luke.
the series, obviously, but yes.
I was to say, look, before you put that down, because you just talked about that was a for those that aren't aware, it is a Stanley creation and happened in the late 70s, early 80s. Would you mind reading the blue label? Or pardon me, the right side of that blue label, my man?
The right side, origin and first appearance of She-Hulk, Stan Lee story, John Buscema and Chris Stone art.
Yeah, but definitely a book that took saw a little bit of an increase or obviously more of a spike leading up into the show, and then after the show returned right back down to where it was beforehand. I think I have a 8.5 or 9.0 copy or something I picked up for like less than $100, and then was able to pick up the complete run, except for issue 1, which was great because I already had issue 1. Pick up all the rest of the issues for like $50. It was insane.
Well, when I say I paid pennies for it, I literally mean pennies. So the equivalent for you guys would be like $15. Like I paid like nothing for it. It was
Right.
absolutely fine. And we're talking years ago, like before the MCU was even a thing.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just happy to have it in the collection.
Awesome.
So the next one, I didn't realize I was going to like this book as much as I did. Right, so I bought a copy of it in order to read, like a trade paperback, sorry. And I read the story and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with this little character. And so I went looking for a copy, and sure enough, a slab copy was up for the price of a raw copy. So I purchased it. And that's Kanto.
Oh.
And I love this little guy. It's such a heartfelt, beautiful story. And I'm not going to spoil what happens in it. If you get a chance to read it, I highly recommend that you do so. Now, a lot of these issue 1s did arrive in the stores damaged. So getting a 9.4 is pretty decent. But like I say, there was raw copies for the same price as this. So I just picked it up. It makes sense to me to buy the slab over the raw anyway.
Now, Luke, what year did Kanto come out? Was that 2017, 2018?
2019.
2019. Since COVID started and the bubble was there and Kanto's had a few different volumes since, there are a lot of Kanto completionists. And I don't mean just like issue 1 through 4, 1 through 5, 1 through 6. I mean all the variants, all the exclusives. Like Luke is absolutely correct. This is a story that is loved. And both men and women are hardcore collectors when it comes to Kanto. And every time there's a new Kanto one-shot or a new volume, like it does very, very well. And I don't want to say I'm not surprised by it, but the amount of people that love this story and pick up all those different variants, that I do find surprising. But yeah, good for you, man. And you're right. And there's been so many different press issues or pressing issues with Kanto, not just number one, but I know so many different exclusive covers had pages missing, like the 3 or 4 of those pages in the middle they were missing. But hey, that Kanto.
For me as well, it was so nice because having that trade paperback, I actually sat there and read it with my kids. And to me, that was the most important thing. You know, there's a lot of comic books out there that I wouldn't say are age appropriate for children, but this is a really nice, heartfelt fairy tale. You know, just anyone who hasn't read it, go and read it. It's well worth it.
It'd be great in an animated film.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So my next book, first appearance of the Hobgoblin. And yes, it does come with tattoos, and it is in an older CGC slab. Again, I purchased this in slab. You can see there as well, newsstand.
Wow.
I love the Hobgoblin. I would argue that I love the Hobgoblin more than the Green Goblin, and that's because of my love of the 1994 Spider-Man animated cartoon done by Fox. Mark Hamill doing the voice. They obviously wanted to bring the Hobgoblin in because they wanted to push toy sales. But you know, I was a sucker for it. I was a young kid back at that time. I think I was 9 years old, showing my age. But yeah, I love the Hobgoblin. So I absolutely love this book.
I mean, we've heard from a few people lately who've been saying that they really like the Hobgoblin over, say, the Goblin, which is
the Hobgoblin, that the whole mystery on who the Hobgoblin was, Marvel really played that up well for a long time, and it didn't get like over the top campy, where a lot of things were getting campy in the mid '80s, especially with Shooter, you know, as editor in chief. But yeah, Hobgoblin, man, that's a great book, and I've happened to have a copy, minus the tattoos, so it'll never be going in for grading.
Well, I have heard a rumor. I've not done it myself, and I wouldn't recommend anyone do it, but I've heard a rumor that there is a Fantastic Four book released at the same time with the same tattoos, and you might be able to swap them out.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting anyone does it. I haven't done it myself, but I've heard a rumor. So make do with that information what you will.
My copy's got tattoos.
So does mine. That's why I'm not bothered.
Yeah. Who cares?
So sticking with the first appearances and sticking with Spider-Man, we got first appearance.
Biggie says Fantastic Four 252. He's got one.
I may have to go take a look.
Okay. Yes, I love Rhino's look. The early Rhino, anyways.
Yeah, I agree. And this was a great trilogy of books as well. You know, also introducing Mary Jane for the first time, proper actually seeing her. But yeah, again, so this is a CBCS book, which again I couldn't care less about. 5.5, and I paid £80 for this. So again, not very much at all. Again, all prior to the boom. So just to clarify, when I say that when I bought all these books, so I started collecting Spider-Man. Yeah, I had a couple of them, but I started collecting Spider-Man seriously the moment Stan Lee passed away. So we heard the news that Stan Lee passed away, and it hit really hard in the feels. I was like, man, I remember reading all those books. Like, that's really sad. I'm going to buy a couple of copies so I can catch up and you know, revisit those times.
Right.
And then I was hooked. And I was lucky enough that I had a complete collection of Walking Dead comics, and that I'm actually rather chummy with Charlie Adlard, who had signed most of them, pretty much all of them, and done a lot of sketches and remarks on them and everything else. So after suggesting to him that I was maybe looking to move them on, and him giving me, you know, the utmost of respect and saying that's absolutely fine, go ahead, I sold them and used the money to buy all these Spider-Man books. And so I completed my Spider-Man run from issue 2 through to present. You know, that's all the volumes, all the tie-ins, everything else within 3 years.
Wow.
So that's pretty hardcore, and that's pretty hard going. But I did it, and I'd done it at the right time because the prices only went up after I completed it. Yeah. I bought all the keys first, and then went in and filled in with the gaps. So yeah, I don't recommend other people do it. It's too late now. I think you missed the window. But yeah, I was very lucky that I grabbed those when I did, because they were still very cheap.
Yep, I know. One more to do, and then I'll be done.
Well, again, the other thing is that's me saying that I had all bar issue 1. I did actually have to sell my issue 14, which was a video that I made again for my own channel. We came into some money trouble at home, and I was just like, that's the one I'm going to let go. And there was a reason behind that. And the reason was they've used Green Goblin so much in the movies. He's appeared for every live action Spider-Man that we've had. So I don't see the book going up anymore. There's only so many times you can use the character to make that price keep climbing. So I figured if I sell it now, I'll be able to buy it back for either the same price or a little bit less. So that was the bold decision that I've made. I've yet to buy it back. Let's see.
How's that one worked out for you there, Cotton?
At the end of the day, I know I'm going to get it.
Right.
Again, with the issue 1, I know I'm.
So what I'm hearing is that you are not out of things to collect.
I'm not out of things to collect.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to regret saying that, aren't I?
Right. Yeah. Well, let's bring it full circle.
So that's some of the older Spider-Man books, but modern Spider-Man, not many people enjoy it. I'm certainly one of them. I haven't enjoyed Spider-Man for a great many years. However, I do like one version of Spider-Man, and that is Superior Spider-Man. And I love this cover.
Hello.
So I believe this is for volume 2. I don't think this is for volume 1. But again, I just love that cover of the Here Lies Otto Octavius with him obviously standing over, which is a homage to, I believe, the old Harry Osborn cover from like the 400 or 500s range. So this is a cover that's been homaged a few times. Right. But doesn't he look great? I mean, I love those like tentacle arm things, and the whole look about him. He's just superior in every way.
Luke, would you mind reading us what's on the right side of that label? Because that particular Clayton Crane did that cover, right? He's done it a couple times over. So what does it say on this particular right?
So it says Superior Spider-Man 34. So even though it says issue number 1 over here, it's 34 Legacy. And it's Comic Mint /78 Comics exclusive. So that's a store over here that I buy regularly from, actually. And it's homage to Sensational Spider-Man issue number 38.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the kicking off this volume 2 where he goes to San Francisco to be the Superior Spider-Man, and I loved this run. Thought it was phenomenal. I do have that cover both like that, which is signed, and then the other one, which is the Virgin variant. But man, that's a beautiful book. I do agree with you. That's a fabulous cover. Yeah, glad to see that Superior Spider-Man coming back.
Me too. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know. Hopefully they do it well. I mean, I'm very optimistic.
Right.
I'm
more optimistic about that than I am about the Uncanny Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So this book is an important one to me in my collection, and I love the original story arc that this is a part of. And I know a lot of people only bought it because of the movies, and they're wrong for doing so. Infinity Gauntlet.
Nice.
I love this artwork. I think it's superior in every way. The way that the Infinity Gauntlet is front and center. The fact that it's a 9.6 as well. Like, I don't need 9.8s in my collection. That's another thing that I scream about a lot on my channel.
So you're saying that a near mint is good enough for you? You don't need another near mint?
For a lot of these books, if I had a 9.8, I would sell them. I would buy a lower grade copy at maybe like an 8.0, and I'd pocket the rest of the cash, because for me, it's I'm happy to own them. They don't have to be perfect. Most of my slab collection is mid to low grade anyway. I've got some, I think the majority of them only go up to maybe a 7.5 or an 8.0 anyway. Like if I'm looking at all my raw books and everything else. So yeah, having this in a slab at 9.6, I'm more than happy with.
There's so many good scenes in that book that they could have used in the films. The one scene that I do like is where Cap stands up to Thanos in it, and says that he's the diversion as the Silver Surfer flies in. I just thought if they would have at least tried that somehow with someone different than the Silver Surfer, that would have been great, even though Cap picked up the hammer, and I get that was the scene to replace what happened in the Infinity Gauntlet there. But yeah, you're right. Like those that you need to read this book and actually the sequel as well. Yeah, Starlin did a good job at the helm.
I remember being in a comic book store when a young kid walked in and he asked that he wanted the Infinity War comic book. And I was like, just so you know, Infinity War does exist, but that's not what you're here for. Like, you're here because you want to see what you saw in the movies. So I guided him over to Infinity Gauntlet and said, like, this is more what you're after. Whether or not he enjoyed it, I don't know. Because, again, the snap that they play such a big deal out of with the MCU, it's one panel. It's one panel. There's so much more to this story than just that snap.
Right, Magneto. Yeah, it's good. It's really, really good. CJ, thanks for joining us.
So my final book before we take the break, like what we discussed, is this one.
Oh, nice.
And so this is a Todd McFarlane variant. This is from Venom issue 6, and it's the reappearance. It's the basically Eddie Brock coming back to be in Venom. All right, so then we carry on with the story after all these other people have worn the symbiote. For me, Eddie Brock will always be my Venom. Like, I think hands down it is the best version. And yeah, this was actually interior artwork, so I don't think they actually paid Todd to reuse this, and I think that's why he refuses to sign it when he go off to like see signature events and stuff like that. He even makes videos about it. Says, I'm not signing these books, and this one's always in there. Not that I ever would crack it open to get signed, because it's a 9.8. You know, I'm happy with keeping this. But again, you know, like I say, if the price is right, I would sell this and buy a 9.6 if one was available, and fine if someone wants to do that. But yeah, a great book. And like I say, a great character.
Awesome. Well, that's a great first half. I think we're doing swimmingly there. Ladies and gentlemen, all you guys, don't forget, ticking down below there. What's funny?
I just like that you're using different words. Swimmingly.
Oh. All right. Well, there you go. Don't forget, follow on Instagram and YouTube at Hydra Collectibles. That's the tables spelling, not the Tibbles spelling.
Yeah.
Very important. We discussed that before the show.
We did. Two different ways of spelling collectibles over here, and I picked the wrong one, didn't I?
Hey, as long as everybody else gets it right, what difference does it make?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let's go ahead and say, ladies and gentlemen, sense of pence. Hashtag sense of pence. Throw that in there. We're going to do another giveaway. While everybody's entering that in there, remind everyone once again, today is the last day to get nominations in for the Comic Book Community Awards. So make sure that you get a chance. Write it down right now. Make yourself a reminder that I need to go to the cbcawards.org and fill out your nomination form to get sure that you get your voice heard of what shows you want to be considered for the awards themselves. And then actual voting will take place about a month from now, roughly. They'll go through. They're gonna post everyone who got nominations. The top nominations for each category go on to the final voting, and et cetera, et cetera. We'd appreciate your support once again, right, Chris?
It's true. It's true.
It's true. Yeah. Anyways, Luke, coming up for you this week on your channel. What's coming up?
Oh, what have I got coming up? Now you're making me guess.
Or recently dropped that people should go check out.
Yeah, so I've had some experience with AliExpress and purchasing some rarer figures, and I wanted to basically show everyone that experience. And it's done really well. People have really enjoyed that video. Not as many thumb downs as thumbs up, which is always good. I also made a video about incorrect dinosaurs. You know, as a kid, I loved dinosaurs. I still do. I love Jurassic Park and all the other random dinosaur franchises that are out there. And yeah, it's interesting to see just how much of it is complete and utter BS. You know, most of it doesn't really exist the way that we thought it was or how we imagined. So I done a nice little video there about those.
Yeah.
And then finally, I went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. So I've done a mini review about that, a non-spoiler review. So anyone who wants to go and check that out, please do so.
Phenomenal. Yeah, no, dinosaurs were one of the, I think as a kid, I don't know like you, Chris, but as a kid, I was really into dinosaurs as well, too. Obviously, most of the dinosaurs I think that I was presented as a kid at this point don't exist. Like there's no such thing as a brontosaurus, but you know, they were putting together bone fragments from different animals and coming and thinking that this was something until something came along that got them a better picture. So I mean, yeah, it's like anything else. You're guessing from a piece of something, trying to imagine what the whole, extrapolate what the whole might look like, and until you have more information, bound to get it wrong.
Yeah,
That applies to many things, folks. So go out there and study, learn things, learn what's going on. Don't just take the sound bite.
Or just watch my videos. I've tried to make them as educational as possible.
You can do that, definitely. I was trying to broaden beyond just dinosaurs into social commentary. But anyways, let's get away from that because that's not what this show's about. This show's about comics. Ladies and gentlemen, Sense of Pence. We've got it 38 out of 42. That's pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and spin it and see who wins it. Ladies and gentlemen, Wheel of Fish.
I got all my dinosaur education from the Flintstones, so I think I'm good.
Well, that's pretty real.
Boom. Oh my.
Oh, nice. Back-to-back weeks. I'm glad that Mad Spidey let me keep last week's and wait for some potential more. So, all right. Luke,
watch your back.
Because we're doing 3. Normally the first one's done by the guest and the second one's done by Chris, but Chris always just does the last one in reality here. You get a bonus this week. Now, Mad Spidey, as you can imagine, is a huge DC fan.
No pressure then.
Yeah, no, he likes Spidey. So what are we what SpiderMan books are we going to pull for him today?
Who knows?
But he does like Marvel too. So any Marvel really.
All right.
Same thing we do.
Let's go from the front.
Okay, how many?
Let's go 3 from the front.
Okay, 3rd book from the front. Okay.
And let's go 9 from the back.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Is that it? Do I still keep
No, we
going?
got 4 more. Sorry.
4 more. Let's go somewhere in the middle. Let's give it a scroll. Stop.
Both of those?
Both of those.
All right, 2 more.
Let's take the first from the back.
Okay.
And then let's take 8 from the front. I'm feeling confident.
3,
I think there's definitely going to be a Spider-Man
5,
book in here somewhere.
6, 7.
Dale, thanks
8.
for doing that. Everyone, Mad Spidey is only 16 subs away from 500. Dale, thanks for dropping that link. Let's get Spidey to.
All right, let's see what we got here. Ish. No actual Spider-Man books, but let's just get his pain out of the way first with our DC book. He's going to see it as pain, but many people are going to be going like, "What the hell, son of a gun?" How about Metamorpho, the Element Man, issue number 2?
Oh, Metamorpho's been in the news lately.
Yeah, nice old issue there. October, yeah, issue number 2. So Marvel 2-in-1, the Vision and Thing.
Very nice.
Second printing Daredevil 25.
Ooh,
Version
wow.
variant.
Very nice.
This is the facsimile. Incredible Hulk 347.
Awesome. I'm glad that they redid that book.
Spider-Gwen Shadow Clones issue 1 variant edition. Greg Land.
Mm-hmm.
And from the, I don't remember, this would be early 80s, I think. Mighty Thor, issue 256.
Wow. That's a nice book.
So, Eric, congratulations there, Mad Spidey. We'll add that to your box of books that's getting ready to come your way. And, yeah. Awesome sauce. All right. Let's, thank you, Chris, putting Luke back up there in the position of power. And let's get back into some more slabs before we do another giveaway.
Yeah, so I started with a Stan Lee signature, so I figured I'd start again with a Stan Lee signature. And this is Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 82. And again, I'm really happy with that placement of where the signature is, just along there in the silver on the back, on the black.
Oh, God,
Looks
Peter
good.
hit me.
Yeah.
Ow!
And yeah, again, any book written by Stan should have a Stan Lee signature on it if you can get one. And being part of the first 100 issues, I think this is important. This is the only copy of this book that I have as well. It's not an expensive book to go out and buy, so I do keep meaning to just buy another raw copy, so that if I ever did have to sell the whole collection, I could maybe just still keep this one to one side. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's like a second or third appearance of Electro, but it's, again, first 100 books. It's a nice one.
So is there a reason why you got that one signed, or did you just happen to pick that slab up and it was already signed?
Yeah, it was already
Okay.
signed. So basically someone messaged me and said that they had a load of books. Do I want them? And I went round there, that was there, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, how much do you want for them? They went, no, just take them. So
Do they have any more?
no. Again, none of this happens anymore, does it? Like, now that the MCU has been out, now that CGC is like a bigger thing, like, none of this happens anymore. Those catalysts have already sparked. Everything's kicking off. Nowadays, people know what they got. They look it up on eBay and they go, "That's it." Whereas back then, people were just like, "Oh, you like comics? Here, have them."
Right.
It doesn't happen anymore. Sadly,
Not very often. Yeah, that's for sure.
not with the big books anyway. This is a character that I love, and I know a lot of people didn't like the movie. And I respect that. I think there was a good movie in there somewhere. I think with some editing, we could get there. It's the first appearance of Morbius. So again, I love this cover.
I heard that book sucks.
Yeah.
This was one of the first in that bundle of first books that I sent off to CGC. So this went along with those other EC comics. It's a UK edition again. And
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm more than happy to have this. Again, it's such a weird thing as well, because again, I throw back to that 94 cartoon where Morbius was very different to how he's depicted in the comics.
Oh,
He had that whole
100%.
thing on his hands, all the suction things, because they didn't want him going around biting people. And obviously he had to drink plasma instead of blood. There was all these different things put into place. But I love it, 6-armed Spidey as well.
That's right. And that's a book that, well, it's always traditionally actually had some decent value to it. You talk about, we always say that was a 6.0, but actually, oh my God, that's way down.
The movie didn't. This is the problem that I have with the fake collectors out there. Like, if you're a fan of comic books, whether it be that you love comics in general, or you just like Marvel, or you delve deeper and you like a particular character, in this instance, Spider-Man, then that's a key book, and that is still one of the more important books within your collection because of those reasons. However, as soon as something doesn't make it in the movies, everyone's like, "Oh, this is rubbish," and so then we can just swoop in and pick it back up again. So it's kind of a bittersweet, really. We're hoping that some of these films don't do well, just so we can get our books that we want.
Well, this is mind-numbing. So I've talked about like some market shifts. So I just happen to look at a 6.5 copy of that book, right? So during 2021, hit a high over $1,000.
This is
Okay.
not going to go well.
Chris, this July
Okay.
18th,
Yes.
2 weeks ago,
Yes.
a copy sold.
Okay.
What do you think it sold for?
Okay, because I think Luke was very spot on in what he said, that there was in the heart of it, there was a decent movie, a good idea. They went out and got themselves an Academy Award winning actor to play Morbius and beefed himself up, and it looked good, and it didn't do well.
That trailer looked amazing.
Yeah,
I could watch that trailer all day long with the music the same as the Lost Boys and everything. It was superb.
And you can see what they're doing, that Sony's trying to create their new version of a Sinister Six, or say a Savage Six. But Rob, I'm going to guess, just because that movie, it disappointed and hit so hard. I don't want to be insulting to Luke either, but I'm going to guess like 175. Like, I know the train. I know the wheels came right off the train. I know the wheels came way off.
Biggie Shack, 65 cents in a pack of Doritos. Yeah. No, you are a little bit low.
Okay.
So $216. Now, granted, the majority of them in June sold in the between 350 to 450 range.
Okay, so the respect is coming back.
There was a couple low sales on either side of June, including the low sale here in July of last month of $216, which is more of an aberration, because even looking at the 6.0s, there wasn't a 6.0 that sold that low. Most of them are around the 250 to 350 range. But considering that, I think that movie hit it harder, because I think before that movie, even before the buildup, this price range, it was more of a $500 book at this grade. Yeah, I think it's gone down after the movie.
I think it's a perfect time for fans of comic books to buy. Don't look at it from an investor's point of view or a speculation point of view.
No,
Go out and buy
agree.
the book that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get.
And that's really more of what I talk about when I look at these values. Sometimes isn't so much about the investment side of it, because most people know I'm not a guy who's buying and flipping and selling books, but I've gone on a tear, bought a handful of books this year, right? And it's because it's been such a good time to buy. Well, this is a book that actually I only have a second printing in my collection. And Chris knows where I stand on second printings. And now I look at that and I go, oh, wow, I didn't realize that was down. That's a great opportunity for me to go ahead and get a first printing that's at a very, very reasonable rate. Matter of fact, I'm going to add it to my list now.
And before we move on to the next book, let's just realize, like, between 100 and 150, there are a few nice books, but to me, there's only two massive keys that come to mind, and it's the first Punisher and the first Morbius that lead the way when it comes to big keys. And the fact that book is like that's exactly where I would be looking to get that copy myself, is a 6.5, somewhere between 5.5 and 7. And if I could have found that book for less than $250 US, I would have been laughing. Like forget the movie. Like, this is Morbius. Like this is fantastic. Like, there's a long story, and not only that, Morbius ties into the Midnight Suns as well. That's just great. Yeah. Oh wow,
awesome.
Well, this is the thing. So I'm under no illusions that my collection is not an investment. Absolutely not. But these books will always be desirable. I can sit here and I can say I have a complete Spider-Man collection from the 60s all the way through to present day, including all the tie-ins and everything else. Isn't that great? Now, that doesn't mean that someone, if when I pass away, my kids sell them on, or if I choose to sell them on, that's not going to be an easy sale. There's not going to be someone who can buy the whole set. There's no one there to do that. So you do have to break it all down. So again, I'm under no illusions that this is not, this is an investment. It's not. It's something that I love. It's something that I enjoy. And it's something that hopefully will hold value, or at least still give my children something after I'm done.
What the hell is going on? I'm selecting there it goes. I was trying to put the format a particular way, and it wasn't doing what I was clicking. Sorry.
Okay.
Now I caused way more disruption and called attention to the fact that the host is an idiot. Sorry.
So my
What do you
next
got
book-
for us next week?
Yeah, why don't you distract everybody with another book?
An extremely pivotal moment in Peter Parker's life.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
I love Gwen Stacy. You know, Spider-Gwen is great, but Gwen Stacy is my girl. You know, to me, she is Peter's true love. And I love that MJ even kind of knows that. Like, I love MJ too, don't get me wrong. But I love that she knows how important Gwen was to Peter. And I love that part of the story. Like, we have the whole Uncle Ben passing away thing. That's bad enough. Bad enough that his parents left him as a child, you know what I mean, to go off and be SHIELD agents and everything else. Gwen dying, it's just like that. It's that third nail into that coffin that makes him the hero that he has to become. And that's why I really love the Andrew Garfield films. I've been praising those films for years and years and years. And it's
Yep.
only been since No Way Home came out that a lot of people have jumped back onto that train, you know, and they started to agree. That film is the perfect origin story. If you take both films of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and combine them as one origin story, to me it's superb, right? You've got this young kid whose parents left him. He doesn't know why. He's with his aunt and uncle. His uncle passes away. He has all of that guilt and everything else. Then he gets the girl of his dreams and she dies too. It's so...
Her father, then him, then her.
Yeah, her father, and then even after he's made the promise of protecting her and everything else. Now, I'm not going to lie. I prefer the cover of the next issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I actually have a painting from Frog Boy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He does all the big canvas paintings of various covers. He's over your neck of the woods over in the States. And he was kind enough to do me this painting on a big, large canvas and ship it over, all completely free of charge. And yeah, that to me is like the definitive Spider-Man comic book. But sadly, I don't have that one graded, so you have to make do with this one.
So just to represent Mary Jane fans out there that are screaming right now, I will represent them by pointing out by saying that her and Peter had broken up for quite a while. She was dating his best friend and was actually pregnant for his best friend when she died. But yes, to me, the quintessential Spider-Man movie moment in all the films is Andrew Garfield's scene when Gwen passes away inside the clock tower. That is the best Spider-Man moment, I think, of all of them.
It's so well put together as well, because the idea of the clock tower and running out of time, like they could have done the bridge, but they've done something different and they've done it so beautifully. Like throughout that whole movie, Peter's late. Like he's always on the phone. I'll be there in a minute. I'll be there in a minute. And at that last moment when he tries to catch her, he's too late. It's so beautifully crafted and put together. The film really does deserve more praise. Too many people focus on the Green Goblin and Electro and everything else. Look at what's there rather than what you wish was added.
You can see Sony interfering by trying to rush too many villains versus Mark Webb's story that he wanted to craft into 3 different films. But, obviously the rug got pulled out underneath him because the movie didn't do well. And it was just panned because Sony tried to push, again, the Sinister Six, with everything that's going on there. But yeah, you're right. Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man personally, but to each their own. There's no right, no wrong answer when it comes to everyone's favorite Spider-Man. But yeah, that scene, and you're right, the whole narrative for the entire film is he's always that little bit late, including his own graduation and all of that, and that Aunt May is giving him a hard time about always being late, and he's just that half a nanosecond late where she hits the ground.
It is.
Bob.
Yeah, I was just saying though. I think that Mary Jane is the better girlfriend or better partner for him, but no disservice to the importance of Gwen Stacy's death and how it shapes and impacts Peter hundreds and hundreds of issues later, which is why I always argue that ASM 31, which introduces her and introduces Harry and introduces the Jackal, is
Miles
potentially
Warren,
one of the most important of the first 50 books in Spider-Man for who it introduces and how that impacts Peter long term over the course of the next 800, 900 issues.
And so many collectors out there don't like that book because they're not a fan of the cover. And I think it's silly. Like I love the book for what it is. For me, again, I know we're talking about slabs and the cover is all you can see when a book is slabbed, but books are so much more than their covers. There's so much more artwork, story, everything inside there. I don't think it's the be all and end all if a book has a bad cover. But yeah, no disservice to MJ. I still think she is incredible. I really want her and Peter back together. You know, that's what I've always wanted. But like I say, I think Gwen was so important that we can't neglect that. You know, it's an important role to play.
Guys, real quick, if you haven't already, consider hitting that thumbs up button. Well, if you're liking what you're seeing, it helps us down the road in the replay stuff, algorithm, yada yada yada, more ad revenue. Ad revenue goes to Comics Curing Cancer, just like all the rest of the channel revenue on this channel. Super important to tell cancer they can go F itself. So thank you.
So we spoke about when Eddie Brock goes back to being Venom, but prior to that, somebody else wore the suit.
Yeah.
Flash Thompson.
Oh,
Agent
This
Venom.
is the second print, and in my opinion, a much better cover. Again, a really hard one to get in high grade. So, you know, basically it's got a white cover on the back, and because the books were stacked, you can imagine all this black ink transferring in transit over to the back covers. So again, getting this in the 9.4, I was very happy with. I sent off 2 copies, hoping that one of them would come back somewhat decent. Got them both back, same grade. So I sold one on and I kept one.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, that was a good storyline.
For one of my nephews, Agent Venom is his favorite of all the Venoms. I won't tell him that he's wrong, but you know, he's less than 10 years old, so
it's not. The thing is, it's
he
not
can,
a bad.
He can live in a fantasy world. It's fine.
The thing is, it's not a bad story, and it really works for Flash Thompson. Like, given who Flash was, and that Flash saw Spider-Man and idolized Spider-Man so much, and he went to fight a war for his country, and just all of it is so beautifully crafted and put together. So, yeah,
from the bully to the hero, right?
Yeah. My next book, rather controversial one. I get mocked about this an awful lot. I'm a big fan of the show Lost.
Oh. Me too.
There's a polar bear back there with a Dharma Initiative thing on.
Very nice.
McCutcheon's whiskey and all sorts in the background. Anyway, I'm a big Lost fan. And in that show, there was a scene in an episode called Cabin Fever where they laid down various items in front of a particular character to see which one belonged to him. And one of those items was a comic book. And that is Mystery Tales 40 from 1956. And it's full of Ditko art. And it actually states that it was featured on the television show Lost in episode Cabin Fever, printed right there on the CGC slab.
That's
don't make anything.
I had no idea.
Chris has got. Hey, everybody! If you have a copy on eBay, go raise your price now because after the show, Chris is going looking.
Hold on.
It's already a really expensive.
Sorry, Penny's boat.
It's already a really expensive book. Now, I was lucky that there was a gentleman online who had this copy, again, already slabbed and everything else. And the reason why it's so low is that the spine and cover is completely split and detached. Right? So it still presents beautifully, but it's in 3 pieces. I don't care about that. I love Steve Ditko as well because of my love of Spider-Man. And it's in one of my favorite TV shows. So for me, this ticks so many boxes. Plus, it's a 1950s book.
That even DVH is telling you it's cool.
Yeah, and the cool thing that ABC was doing at that time when Lost was on the air, and ABC was doing it, and other Bad Robot Productions had it. That same airliner, everyone that crashed, the Oceanic, that airline was featured in other shows as just a quiet crossover. Like,
so the reason for that,
so good, yes.
The reason for Oceanic Airlines is because no airline wants to be associated with a crash or with any faults. So this fake airline has been created and produced, and it's been in all sorts of movies and TV shows. I have loads of Oceanic Airlines memorabilia, from like napkins to food trays to all sorts, just because I'm that weird. It's a whole other collection that I have.
Okay, he is out of things to collect.
Maybe one day I'll make a video about it. But the interiors of this as well, the stories within this, because this is an anthology series, much like Tales from the Crypt and everything else. This is from Atlas Comics back before Marvel existed.
Right.
The stories in this are also very Lost-like. You know, there's one called The Hidden Land. There's another one to do with like time and like time travel and things not playing out the way that you think they are. Now, I'm not saying that they're directly tied to Lost, but it's a nice addition. Somebody obviously went out of their way to pick a particular book to put down in that show as part of the props, and it just so happened to be a real book.
Mhm.
So I
Somebody
went out
who's
and
in the
bought it.
know.
So, yeah, not for everyone because it's Lost related, but I love it. So, when this sounds really morbid, right? And it's really sad because he has now passed away. But when COVID first struck, I was really concerned about some of the older people within comic books, most notably John Romita. And so I went out and found this book and purchased it, again, already slabbed, everything else, because I wanted his signature and I didn't want to miss out and lose it. And I'm so glad that I did. So,
Holy cow!
So again, a 5.5 on the third appearance of the lizard.
It doesn't
Again, my
matter.
favorite character, so it made sense. Fantastic placement. I'm so happy with how this all is. It basically just ticked so many boxes for me. A yellow cover with the yellow signature label, a 5.5 smack bang in the middle there. You know, the SpiderMan in the bubble. Like it was perfect, you know. And again, just as COVID was happening, just before the comic boom. So I paid nothing for this. I think I paid £200.
I know we're getting tight on time, but
we're good today. We don't have a hard stop.
Okay, the one thing like Rob would probably agree with is John Romita Sr. rarely had a bad signature placement where Stanley and Frank Miller just didn't care. But John Romita Sr., as you can see by that, always took the time to put a good.
It was his art
to put a good signature in a good location. Like rarely do you have that bad location.
I've seen it many times before where the artists won't want to ruin their art, so they'll write it across the title or put it, somewhere else. But yeah, I'm so glad that I was able to get this. You know, again on that particular book as well. You know, I've got multiple copies of that book, but having John Romita's signature on it, you know, and I actually went out of my way to find it. I was like, I want a copy with the lizard on the cover, drawn by him. You know, it was very important. So the fact that it came up, the stars were just aligned. It was a beautiful film. And like I say, that was at the beginning of COVID, and he's only recently passed away. So it's not like it was so close to me trying to get hold of one.
Right.
My next book is a remark, and a remark that I'm very proud of because I've seen loads of people do this idea, and they've got the sketch to the side, but I wanted to change the character. I wanted to make something special. So you might not see it at first glance, but check this out.
Oh.
So I went up to Mike Zeck and I said, can you turn Spider-Man into Venom for this cover? And he said, absolutely. And off he did.
Put that money in my hand.
Much at all. So I paid, I think it was £50.
Okay.
To have him both sign the book as a witness, because obviously it had to go to CGT.
Yes.
So a witness signature, and he'd done the remark. So
nice.
I was more than happy to pay that price for this book.
Yeah.
And I've had 2 copies of a regular one and this one that I keep side by side.
So did he do anything else besides change the eyes and obviously add the smile? Like, did he put little claws on the fingers at all?
No, it is all just in the face there.
Okay.
In hindsight, I kind of wish that I got John Beatley to do the same thing on this one down the bottom, because he was right there too, and he obviously signed it at the same time. And I think that would have been a nice contrast to have them both. But I didn't think about that until after it came back from CGC, so it was miles too late.
Yeah, that's
next time
awesome.
You can crack it and do it again.
Yeah, get Jim Shooter to do it for you.
Yeah. So 3 books left. These are the most important, really. And then I've got an honorable mention to show again at the end. This, to me, is the most culturally significant book that I own. We can talk about keys, we can talk about expense, we can talk about everything else, but to me, this is the most important book that I own. And if you don't know, I'll tell you why after I show you guys. So does anyone know why this book why would I say this book is culturally significant? So in this book, we have a story called Judgment Day, and an astronaut travels to an alien country, an alien planet, and there are blue robots and there are orange robots. And the blue robots are in like the worst part of town and it's all run down and everything else, while the other robots are living at large. And he goes to the factories and he sees where those robots are built. And then he goes to the next factory and he sees where those robots are built. And he basically points out that their insides are all the same. It's only when they go to the spraying that everything is different and everything changes. And he basically says, you're not ready to join our galactic empire and everything else. You've still got a lot to learn. All right. That astronaut then goes onto his ship and takes off his helmet, revealing that he is a black man of, American African descent. And it's such a powerful book because this came out in the 50s, came out in 53. They were really going out of their way to make a point about this. And I think it's so important because the children that read this book and grew up with these stories never once looked at race, never once compared themselves to other people because they had the lessons from their comic books. So to me, this is the most important book that I own because I feel like the message was so strong.
Well before that Star Trek episode with the half black, half white versus the white, half black.
Sounds like they could reprint that book a few times over now. Yeah.
Right. Oh. It's probably not allowed in Florida.
Ouch. Ouch.
So that brings me to my second to last book, my penultimate book. This is one of the last books that I had to collect for my Spider-Man collection, and I really had to think hard about it. I've made a whole video about the process where I looked at multiple different books and finally decided why I settled for this one. And it's the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah! Yeah!
So again, another 1.0, because for the same reason, the cover is detached and split. It's in 3 separate parts, but that presents so beautifully. There is nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And like I say, once it's in the slab, that's all you're going to see. So for me, this was an absolute bargain of a price. I'd like to encourage you guys to check out that video because, again, I'm rather proud of showing that process. A lot of people don't show the ins and outs or they don't talk about money, whereas I think it's important to say, well, I could have got this one, but I went for this one because. So I feel like there's a little bit of education there, as it were, or a bit of at least showing you the way of the workings in my mind. So yeah, very happy to own that. But third appearance of Spider-Man as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There was a question that was asked back on the EC. What issue was that EC book?
Sorry, yes. Everyone will be rushing out to buy it now, I expect. Weird Fantasy issue 18 from 1953, and it contains a Ray Bradbury story.
Oh.
So Ray Bradbury didn't actually write the one that I'm referring to, but
right,
he has written some of the other stories in there. And I love these covers. I know, Rob, you love the Atomic Age covers and stuff like that. And I made a point of saying to you, I have a lot of that stuff in my collection already. I love this stuff. It's just these are the only few that are slabbed.
Yeah.
So that brings me, like I say, to my final book. And yeah, I don't know if it's obvious what it might be, but it is, after all that time searching, I found my original copy that I couldn't get Stan Lee to sign.
Smoke if you got him.
So obviously a little too late, but I did find it. It was indeed in my parents' loft, and I sent it off for grading. And as you can see, a 1.8, but I couldn't care less. This is my original copy. I wasn't around when the book came out. I bought it from a yard sale, like I say, for 50 pence. It cemented my love of the character of the Lizard. And I'm just like, this is the most precious book that I own. This is the one that, when people say if there's a house fire, I'd go for this over every other book that I have. I couldn't care less because it's the sentimental value. And it's this
kids back one. Out of the way so he can get to the book.
And it's this particular copy as well. If I ever was to sell my Spider-Man collection, I would want to keep this one. So if that meant that I had to buy a replacement or knock money off because this was missing from the set, then that's what I would do. This is the important book to me. So even if I had a higher grade copy, sentimental value means this is the one.
Phenomenal. No, that's absolutely. DVH says nice bait and switch, sir.
Yes, we weren't suspecting that one.
Great planning went into this. So like I say, I do have this honorable mention. So I don't know if you want to do something else first and then come back to this.
Go ahead.
So I've made reference to it a couple of times that I love the character of the lizard, and I've made references that I love the 1994 Spider-Man animated TV show. And the first episode of that was called Night of the Lizard and was the story of Dr. Connors becoming the lizard. And this right here is some 360 odd pages of the original storyboards from John Semper, who created the show. I've got a nice little signature from him with Stan. But yeah, this is his original file copy, signed and embossed and everything. And it's basically the entire storyboards for that entire episode. Now, sadly, I'm not going to be able to hold it up and go through various pages because I don't want to damage it. But it's something very unique. You know, even if there was a few more out there, this is his copy. It's signed and embossed. And the other copies will probably be altered. You know, there'd be later editions. This is the very first. So when you look at the date stamp of what's on there, it's the first copy. I've seen other people with various pages that sell for various amounts of money online, up in the hundreds, and you can see they've got different stamps on them, but this is the first.
That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's something definitely unique.
One day I will go through the whole thing and record every turn of the page, but that's 360 odd pages.
Yeah, think about it like installments. It's multiple weeks worth of content.
True.
Yes. Page 1 through 25.
If it wasn't for the copyright strikes, I would actually play the episode as I was going through it.
Yeah.
Well,
that won't work.
There's actually if you had it playing in a small corner of the screen, well, this was the big thing, and you were talking, making sure you were making comments periodically, then I think you come into the fair use doctrine.
I think it's hard to get, like, for every scene, how fast it goes. It's hard to turn the pages that much.
That is true. That is true. Ladies and gentlemen, Comic G-Man, thank you so much for the excellent super chat here for our Comics Curing Cancer. Let's get you one of the newer ones.
Bet she gives great helmet.
Kiss me. No. Lord help me, Black! You need it on the bridge, sir. Knock on my door. Knock next time.
It's in honor of Luke and his toy collection.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it would take some editing. Could work as a reaction video. Yeah, exactly. Right. Very good. All right, guys. Luke, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed your time on with us. I appreciate you coming on with us here on OnlySlabs. We do have another giveaway to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm mixing it up on you. It's hashtag henchman. So go ahead and hit that henchman. Henchman. So if you haven't got your henching in, it's time to get it in now with your hashtag henchman. We'll do another giveaway for another 6 books. While people are getting that hashtag in there, super late, catch the replay. Excellent. Hope that you will there, Joe. Appreciate you for stopping by. While people are doing that, Chris, what's coming up on the old Comic Bet channel?
Well, tomorrow I'm hoping for another edition of Two Cool Guys, Two Hot Picks. Mark and myself will be picking a hot book that we think you may want to consider for this upcoming New Comic Book Day. Next Wednesday will be Show Us What You Got, live New Comic Book Day. Live New Comic Book Day hangout. But in the next upcoming little bit, keep an eye out for my 3rd anniversary on YouTube channel, or my 3rd anniversary on YouTube as a channel. We're going to be spotlighting some of the books I'm going to be giving away later on in the month of August. And I can't talk now. Anyways, thank you, Rob. What about you?
Well, thanks, Chris. had a big Jack B comic book mystery box we opened up the other day. If you haven't seen that yet, check that out. It was a fire box. I'm definitely in for the next one. Then on Monday, I have got a fantastic mail call on wink wink on in queue, followed by Thursday. I got a mystery. A Wink Ink, the Company Man mystery box that'll be open up on Thursday, sometime probably by next, if not before next week. We'll also be during next week's show. I'll start to talk about the upcoming 1,500 subscriber giveaway as we're pushing to get the 1,500 subscribers. We'll start talking about the books that I've got planned to give away for that. But anyways, we got our hashtag going. I got 36 out of 43. Give you guys 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
the
2,
suspense.
1. Go. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this, our third giveaway,
Fourth,
it is Patow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. 156. Yeah, man. Congratulations, sir. That's right, because we had our henchman of the month, of course, as well. Thanks to all the henchmen and channel members, and maybe next week, maybe next month. For those of you who aren't channel members, if you become a channel member, maybe next month you'll get to be henchman of the month. All right, Chris. It's that time of show where it's your turn to shine, baby.
All right.
Yeah, man. Some books here. What do we got?
All
What are
right.
we going for?
I think I saw like the Spider Rex in his little bubble there, so maybe he might be a Spider-Man fan too. All right, let's go 4 from the
Who
front.
isn't?
Yeah, in today's day and age, right? Even though Spider-Man's tough to read right now.
You said 4 from the front?
4th from the front, 4th from the rear.
Okay.
We're gonna let it ride. Stop.
Wow.
Yep, those two right there, bright and early. All right, we're gonna let it ride. We're gonna let it ride and stop. And those two right there, Rob. All right, now be careful with your back putting that down. That's jammed again.
I'm telling you, we are giving away a lot of signed books today.
Oh.
How about Twig #1, signed by Scotty Young?
Oh, that is wow. 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 Wow.
Scorched #1.
But that's not signed though, right? Like
no, it's not signed. But
okay,
it is
I was going to say like, all right, we're giving away like a Todd or
Sylvester, but is it Sylvester McFarlane cover?
Wow,
yeah,
it's a great cover.
We got Uncanny X-Men 255, the first Matsu Soriyaba, signed by Chris Claremont.
Holy cow! Wow.
We have Amazing Spider-Man 130, the first appearance of the Spider-Mobile.
That's
completely pointless.
That's a minor key for a completely
villain's Hammerhead. Very understated. Him and
This is why we have to still love and appreciate Avi, right?
You know what? Hammerhead was in the gang war, though.
Yeah. Right. Here's a fire book. Yeah, man. I'm about to get a reaction out of Chris on this one. How about JSA 10?
Oh my god. Why the hell are you giving away a classic Ross cover like that? Like, come on, man. Like, oh my god. Somewhere Mark from Legion of Comics just got a shiver. Like what something happened. I don't know what's going on.
Last but not least, freshly read and retired from my collection because I went and picked up the compendium, the trade paperback of Saga Volume 1, first 5 issues collected. Phenomenal.
That's a great story. You're gonna fall in love with the gigantic green cat that's in that book.
Yeah,
I promise.
That is, yeah, man.
No lies.
Congratulations, fire.
Wow.
This is what we give away on this show. not some rubbish.
And that's how I pulled them.
Good karma, Rob. Yeah, absolutely.
Holy
So
cow!
great.
A Scotty
Yeah.
Young and a Claremont and a trade paperback of
And a Ross cover.
and Alex Ross, like a
Yeah,
holy
There's
fire truck, man! That is just insane.
there's good hits in there, and I got some more stuff. I got like another short box of stuff that's stacked up here, staged trying to cycle books in. It's crazy.
Hey, yeah, man. If you don't go fill out the CBC award sheet right now and put in OnlySlabs, you got some bad karma coming your way. Just a heads up.
Oh God, thanks everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I want to remind you, next week coming up on the show, Mr.
Yes.
CBCA Awards himself, Brian LCS. So phenomenal. Come and stick around for
Something
that.
tells me that might be a SpiderMan show too.
Yeah, don't forget. Also, you can still use that code YT Shopping 25 to get 25% off at the Fat Stacks merch store. All proceeds from there going to Comics Curing Cancer. Just click that merch store link there on the top there, and if you don't remember the code, it's in the community tab. Also, benefit Comics Curing Cancer. If you need a comic book pressing, check out the RogueTraderUtah.com. You can use the code FATSTACKS at checkout to save 20% off your comic book pressing, including already discounted bundles, and $10 will be donated to Comics Curing Cancer. All channel membership, $2.99 a month. Oh, that's the wrong slide. Become a channel member for $2.99 a month. Goes to Comics Curing Cancer. And speaking of Comics Curing Cancer, it's coming soon, October 20th to 22nd. If you have books or something, or art or something that you're interested in donating for the cause, please, by all means, reach out to me on Instagram, DM me, and we can talk about that and how to get that to me so that way I can get that into our stuff. I do have donation receipts from the American Cancer Society to be able to provide you for tax purposes, everything else. And in the meantime, everyone else start pinching your pennies and putting them aside, because there's going to be some great stuff during the auctions. And of course, it's a great cause. So guys, again, thank you, Luke. Thank you, Chris. All you wonderful, wonderful people in the chat. Thank you all so much. Yes, as Chris says, thank you all for watching, fam. And until next time, make sure you collect what you want. Don't listen to anybody, including me. I'm just a fat man with a fat stack of comics and a fat opinion. Thanks for watching.